Thanks so much for tuning in. This week we're doing a quick video which should be very helpful to Cubase users. I'm going to give you 3 tips on things you should do when you just install Cubase on a new computer. So the first tip is going to be very helpful to people who use Cubase for recording. So we're going to open the mix console. You can do it manually or you can press F3, and then on the top right there is a small gear which you can click, and then you can press on show latency. What it does is it will show for every single track the latency that the plugins are giving to this track. If you deactivate or reactivate the plugin, you can see that the latency is changing. If you're recording vocals or guitar, the worst thing that you could have is a latency of what you're doing. The bananas are yellow. They're very good fruit. This video is not about bananas, but you might as well enjoy one. So we can see that when the track was delayed, it was very hard to properly follow. It was hard even just to watch. It's annoying just to watch. So imagine if you're trying to record and you hear your voice or your guitar delayed. That's really not something that's very interesting. Tip number 2, this one is good for anyone and it's the safest way to manage your files in Cubase. So when you open up Cubase, you can go in the Steinberg hub. And you can see at the bottom there's the option to choose prompt for location. You're going to check this box, and here's 2 reasons why. If you don't do this, every files that you record or import will go in a random folder in the C drive. What this does is it makes it harder for you to manage your sessions and do backups. If you use the prompt for project location thing though, you will be able to just have all your audio files next to your project files. This will help greatly in managing your sessions, as well as doing backups or sending files away. And that's actually reason number 2. If you're working with someone else and you want to share some Cubase sessions, if you want to share some Cubase sessions, you will benefit from using this, because all you have to do then is zip the folder that contains everything and send it to the other person, and she or he will have everything that's needed for the project to work. And now tip number 3. So what you're going to do is, just to be sure that everything is good, you're going to try and import a file in a project, and you want to check this box right here which says copy file to project folder. This will make sure that you actually have a copy in the audio pool of your project. So this way, a bit like we said in tip number 2, if you have to share the session, do backups, all the files are right next to each other and you won't have to search around for them. When you're at the studio and you're ready to press record and go, you don't want to fiddle with files and waste your time doing not really useful stuff. So just take the time to set up your DAW properly, and it will just help your workflow so much, and you will be so much faster. It will help you so much. Alright, so those were the 3 tips on what you should do when you just install Cubase. And here's a bonus one. This one is regarding performance, so probably it will be interesting for someone doing mixing, maybe mastering too. When I work with Cubase, I like to have ASIO guard activated. Now this one is debatable, because I know some people, depending on your system, some people have not so good results with it. It really depends on the system, so you can just try and see if it works for you. And here's a quick example. So you can see in this session I have a bunch of guitars, and it's really just some crazy processing. It doesn't really make sense, but it's just for example. Right now we can see it's peaking very hard on the performance meter. ASIO guard is deactivated. I'm going to play it, and you will hear it's going to crackle and just be absolutely unworkable. And now let's activate ASIO guard by going in our studio setup. And once that's done, you can see here the performance meter is actually, now it has some headroom, and if we play the guitars again, we'll hear there's no more crackling and everything is under control. So yeah, that's it. That was the extra tip. So when you just install Cubase, those are the 3 things that I strongly recommend you do, as well as the 4th one, which is debatable, but it can be very useful. So I might as well just try it. Would you do things differently, or maybe have other things that you have in mind that are more important? Just tell me in the comments what you think. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. So thanks so much for staying around, and I'll see you next time for the next video.